you see, it is not only a political council, but it is also having space for experts, because experts have expertise, and with such expertise they can give specific suggestions relating to particular issues to the NITI Aayog, and the Prime Minister plays a very critical role as far as NITI Aayog is concerned, very similar how the Prime Minister played a critical role in the erstwhile Planning Commission. NITI Aayog, it is India's think tank for bringing a cultural, technological, social, economic transformation. Let's have a look at it. On January 1st, 2015, the NITI Aayog, its full form is National Institution for Transforming India, was established as the successor to the Planning Commission. It was created by an executive resolution of Government of India, that is the Union Cabinet rather. Hence, it is also neither a constitutional body nor a statutory body. So keep that thing in mind. Similarly, the Planning Commission was also created by an executive resolution, so it was neither a constitutional body nor it was a statutory body. Rather, you can call such bodies as extra constitutional, extra statutory. NITI Aayog is the premier policy think tank of the Government of India, providing both directional and policy inputs. Now, it was felt that when the Planning Commission existed, that the Planning Commission gives a plan and the state and the national governments merely become implementers of that plan. Whereas NITI Aayog has an altogether different purpose. It doesn't provide you any plan, rather it creates the environment or the ecosystem in which development can be carried out. It leaves ample space for improvisation. But when you have a plan in your hand, there is very little to improvise, perhaps only where you implement the plan. There you can make some improvisation, and that too depends upon the talent of the implementing agency. But if you have the scope of improvising right from the very origin, then you have a better possibility of engendering development. And India no longer wants incremental changes, it wants transformational changes, big ticket reforms, and all of that is possible only when you have a think tank which only will show you the way but will not handhold you, so that it gives ample space to both the public and the private sector to participate in the development process. So let's have a look at the composition of the NITI Aayog. You know, the chairperson of the NITI Aayog is the Prime Minister. So the Prime Minister is the chairperson of the NITI Aayog. Then the NITI Aayog has a governing council, like you have a GST council. Similarly, there is a governing council for NITI Aayog as well. It comprises of the chief ministers of all the states, chief ministers of union territories of Delhi, Puducherry and Jammu and Kashmir, and the lieutenant governors of other union territories. It means that governing council is a kind of federal council because it gives representations to states, but it is not only a federal council because it gives representation to those territories which are centrally administered with or without having a legislature. In other words, it is a group of chief ministers of the states, the chief ministers of union territories which have assemblies, and the lieutenant governors. It means there is voice for everyone in the council, and thus you can understand it gives shape to the dream of Team India and further propagates the principle of cooperative federation. Also, it gives an impetus to competitive federalism because there is healthy competition when you debate and deliberate together. Now, it will also have regional councils. These are formed to address specific issues and contingencies impacting more than one state or a region. It means If there is a particular issue which is bothering a particular region, or there is a particular aspiration with regards to a particular region or a group of states, then such regional councils will come to life. These are formed for a specified tenure, obviously to address the grievance or to fulfill the aspiration. These are convened by the Prime Minister and comprises of the Chief Ministers of states and Lieutenant Governors of Union Territories in the region. These are chaired by the chairperson of the NITI Aayog or his nominee. It means the Prime Minister or anybody who is nominated by him for that purpose. Special invitees. Now you see, it is not only a political council, but it is also having space for experts, because experts have expertise, and with such expertise they can give specific suggestions relating to particular issues beforehand. So special invitees, they are experts, specialists and practitioners with relevant domain knowledge as special invitees nominated by the chairperson, who is the Prime Minister. Full-time organizational framework. But you know that the Prime Minister, the other ministers and even the Lieutenant Governors and the special invitees, they are just special invitees for the purpose beforehand. So they are engaged in other work as well, because it is not only planning, there is other related work, external affairs and all of that. There are other work also related to it. So you can understand that there needs to be a permanent full-time organization to take care of the work of the think tank, which is the NITI Aayog, and that is established by the full-time organizational framework. It comprises, in addition to the Prime Minister as the chairperson, a vice chairperson. He is appointed by the Prime Minister and he enjoys the rank of a cabinet minister. Members, full-time members, they enjoy the rank of Minister of State. Then you have part-time members, maximum of 2, from leading universities, research organization and other relevant institution in ex officio capacity. Part-time members would be on a rotation. It means there is no fixed tenure for them. Ex officio members, maximum of 4 members of the Union Council of Ministers to be nominated by the Prime Minister. Chief Executive Officer, he is appointed by the Prime Minister for a fixed tenure in the rank of Secretary to Government of India. And finally, you have a Secretariat as deemed necessary. Clear? So this is the full-time organizational framework, but this is the composition. You can understand. This full-time organizational framework is necessary to carry out the day-to-day operations of the NITI Aayog, whereas this gives the direction to the NITI Aayog, and the Prime Minister plays a very critical role as far as NITI Aayog is concerned, very similar how the Prime Minister played a critical role in the erstwhile Planning Commission. NITI Aayog also have 3 specialized wings, and they are the Research Wing, the Consultancy Wing and the Team India Wing. The Research Wing, it develops in-house sectoral expertise as a dedicated think tank of top-notch domain experts, specialists and scholars. It just facilitates them to enable research in the country. Then you have a consultancy wing. It acts as a marketplace, and you can understand it acts as a mediator kind of, because consultancy is mediation a kind of. So it provides a marketplace of vetted panels of expertise and funding for central and state governments to tap into matching their requirements with solution providers, public and private, national and international, by playing matchmaker instead of providing the entire service itself. NITI Aayog is able to focus its resources on priority matters, providing guidance and an overall quality check to the test. It acts as a marketplace for those who are seeking service and those who want to provide service either in the public or in the private sector. And NITI Aayog plays just the consultancy part. And you know that by doing that, NITI Aayog frees itself to concentrate or place its resources elsewhere where it is more required. Then you have got the Team India Wing. It comprises of the representatives from every state and ministry and serves as a permanent platform for national collaboration. Each representative ensures that every state ministry has a continuous voice and stake in the NITI Aayog, establishes a direct communication channel between the state ministry and NITI Aayog for all development related matters as the dedicated liaison interface. Liaison means, you know, cooperation and communication. So the Team India wing, its task is to ensure that there is good cooperation between states and ministries. It means the states and center, you can say, and through the NITI Aayog, it further cementifies the concept of cooperative federalism. So therefore, you can say that if this is a mains examination, then there can be a question that NITI Aayog further add credence to the competitive federal spirit of India and the cooperative federal spirit of India, or something like that. So you can understand, then you can elaborate or elucidate on that. But since we are in the realm of I shall restrict myself only to that realm. Now, let us have a look at the objectives of NITI Aayog. It means what NITI Aayog actually wants to do. Karna kya chahte hain? To evolve a shared vision. Now the keyword here is shared vision. It is not the central government's vision, but the shared vision. It means it encompasses the vision of the states and the vision of the union territories, with or without legislature, of national development priorities and strategies with the active involvement of states. Obviously, you can understand that by the very composition of the NITI Aayog. To foster cooperative federalism, this is what I was talking about, through structured support initiatives and mechanisms with the states on a continuous basis, recognizing that strong states make a strong nation. And you understand that no federation can survive with weak units. It is only strong units that create a strong union and thus makes the dream of a strong federation a reality. To develop mechanisms to formulate credible plans at the village level and aggregate these progressively at higher levels of government. It means what? It means grassroots level planning. To ensure on areas that are specifically referred to it that the interests of national security are incorporated in economic strategy and policy. It means when you chalk out an economic plan, you must factor in the security element in it. To pay special attention to the sections of our society that may be at risk of not benefiting adequately from economic progress. So it's a kind of inclusiveness also being involved in its objectives. To design strategic and long-term policy and program frameworks and initiatives and monitor their progress and their efficacy. The lessons learned through monitoring and feedback will be used for making innovative improvements, including necessary mid-course corrections. It is a kind of review and course correction. You can think of that. To provide advice and encourage partnerships between key stakeholders and national and international like-minded think tanks, as well as educational and policy research institutions. So it is a kind of, you can say, collaborative brainstorming that is being encouraged by it. It's one of the objectives of it. To create a knowledge, innovation and entrepreneurial support system where you can take risks and all through a collaborative community of national and international experts, practitioners and other partners. And you know that here where you see the role of those special invitees that we talked about. To offer platform for resolution of intersectoral, interdepartmental issues in order to accelerate the implementation of the development agenda. Because this is a kind of attack on red tapeism, because every time during the times of the planning commission, the file will just keep on moving from one department to another department and there would be total chaos in the system. So it is a effort, one of the objectives is to offer a platform for resolution of intersectoral and interdepartmental issues. Obviously, to give more lubricant, provide more lubricant to economic activities. To maintain state-of-the-art resource center so as to compete with the outside world, mostly in terms of quality. Be a repository of research and good governance and best practices in sustainable and equitable development, as well as help their dissemination to stakeholders. To actively monitor and evaluate the implementation of programs and initiatives, including the identification of needed resources so as to strengthen the probability of success and scope of delivery. To focus on technology, and now that's an important aspect of NITI Aayog, because if you see, it's very core of NITI Aayog, it has a lot of focus on technology driven good governance and ease of doing business. You can say something like that. To focus on technology upgradation and capacity building for implementation of programs and initiatives. To undertake other activities as may be necessary in order to further the execution of the national development agenda and the objectives mentioned above. It means any other thing that are incidental or they are subsequent to any of these objectives. So, see, if a question is asked to you, maybe these sentences may prop up, or very simple sentences like the NITI Aayog promotes, first, cooperative federalism, second, competitive federalism, it spirit of fraternity, sense of equality, and all those kind of things. Technology upgradation, transformational change, and the options will be 1, 2, 3, 2, 3, 1, all, and all of that, different permutation and combination. So it would be very simple kind of options. Don't worry that there will not be very long sentences like this. Utni to jagah bhi nahi hoti question paper mein. So apply some logic at that time and try to remember this part, and you will be able to answer such questions. Now, let's have a look at the functions of NITI Aayog. Those were the objectives. Now, what actually NITI Aayog does? The various functions performed by NITI Aayog can be divided into 4 main heads. And what are they? Design policy and program framework, foster cooperative federalism, monitoring and evaluation, think tank and knowledge and innovation hub. अब इसको आप ध्यान में रख लो. There is a great possibility that if there is a question on NITI Aayog, एक sentence तो ये होगा that it is a constitutional body or something like that, just to confuse you. And then otherwise these 4 will be just replicated in the question paper. Now again, I am giving a disclaimer. I am not saying that it will be under all circumstances, but there is a high possibility that it will be just replicated in the question paper. So just keep these 4 functions of the NITI Aayog in mind. By dividing the entire gamut of activities in the NITI Aayog, the Team India and Knowledge and Innovation Hubs were constituted, and accordingly verticals and core divisions were created. There are several verticals and core divisions. I am not going into very detail of it because it is unnecessary here. The Team India Hub carries out the mandate of fostering cooperative federalism and designing policy and program frameworks. It provides requisite coordination and support framework to NITI Aayog in its engagement with the states. On the other hand, the Knowledge and Innovation Hub ensures fulfilling the mandate of maintaining a state-of-the-art resource center to be the repository of research of good governance and best practices and their dissemination to stakeholders, and to provide advice and encourage partnership across key areas. But what you need to keep in mind is this, and then there are some pillars. There are actually 7 pillars over which the NITI Aayog stands. They are the core principles of NITI Aayog, or the guiding principles. So let's have a look at those principles as well. The first is Antyodaya. Now, prioritize service and uplift the poor, marginalized and downtrodden, as enunciated in the Pandit Deen Dayal Upadhyay's idea of Antyodaya. Antyodaya, it means the most vulnerable section of the society. Work for them. That is what one of the guiding principle of NITI Aayog. The other principle is inclusion. Empower vulnerable and marginalized sections, redressing identity-based inequalities of all kinds, gender, region, religion, caste or class. It means establishing not only the idea of inclusion, but also promoting the principle of fraternity. So keep that in mind. Village. Integrate our villages into development processes to draw on the vitality and energy of the bedrock of our ethos, culture and sustenance. Very much you can understand that grassroots level developmental encouragement, demographic dividend. Harness our greatest asset, the people of India, by focusing on their development through education and skilling, and their empowerment through productive livelihood opportunities. Again, you can understand, to build that social capital and to build that demographic capital which can give us dividends later on. People's participation, so you can see again a pro-people approach here and a kind of citizens-based or citizen-centric governance. Transform the development process into a people-driven one, making an awakened and participative citizenry the driver of good governance. It means pro-citizen and citizen-centric governance, and not only it is it has participation of citizen, but it has awakened participation. That's a very key word. Awakened means there is a high level of awareness with respect to your own aspirations, with respect to your own rights, and with respect to your own duties, all of that. Governance, nurture an open, transparent, accountable, proactive and purposeful style of governance, transitioning focus from outlay to output to outcome. It means to check the impact of it. Very much difference between, like we have done in our economy classes, the difference between output and the outcome budget, something like that. And these pillars are nothing but the pillars of good governance if you have a look at them very carefully. Sustainability, maintain sustainability at the core of our planning and development process, building on our ancient tradition of respect for the environment. So there is a kind of coexistence with biodiversity, with environment, which is also one of your basic rights. It's also a duty for us to protect our environment. So these are the 7 guiding principles or the core principles of NITI Aayog. Many a times you may find these also as part of your question. And apart from it, then you have the pillars. The pillars are just nothing but the reflection of the principles. Pro-people agenda that fulfills the aspirations of society as well as the individuals. Proactive in anticipating and responding to citizens' need. Participative by involvement of citizens. Empowering women in all aspects. Inclusion of all groups with special attention to SCs, STs, OBCs and minorities. Equality of opportunity for the youth. Here you can include now the EWS as well, the economically weaker sections. And transparency through the use of technology to make government visible and responsive. So again, ये तो वैसे भी आएगा ऑप्शन में, तो आप हाँ ही बोलोगे. The major thing to note here is what kind of body is it, what is its composition, who are the members of the NITI Aayog and what are its functions. ये ध्यान में रखना. Objectives भी अगर ध्यान में रख सको तो बाकी सारी चीज़ें वैसे भी हो जाएंगे.